Hello, welcome to Verbling. In this class, we are going to conclude a little series we've been doing for the last couple weeks, looking at modal verbs. Modal verbs are words like could, would, should, might, may, can, and some phrasal modals, have to, for example, need to. Today, we are going to focus on the modal verb would. Would you like to join me looking at would? Huh. Okay, the format is thus. I will be trying to explain some uses of the modal verb would, how we use it, when we use it, how to use it with different tenses, and then the class will take turns doing a number of exercises which we'll discuss as we go to help clarify and bolster our understanding of the use of this modal verb. Okay, that's the game plan. So I will now welcome students or student, and we'll get started. Hello, Carolina. Again.
Hello, teacher. Hi again.
Hi again. Thanks for joining. Again. Okay. Well, you know the routine. There's plenty of room in the class. Please come on in the class and join me. Okay. All right. David has joined us. Hello, David.
Hello. How are you?
Hi. I'm fine. Thank you very much. Okay. Again, as always, I'm going to do a screen share here, and I'm going to be explaining for 5 minutes or so about the uses of would, and then we're going to practice. So if you have any questions while I'm pretty much lecturing, don't be shy. Go ahead and ask me. Just shout out, "Excuse me, teacher." Write a message in the Verbling chat box, whatever. Feel free to communicate your question to me. I like questions. Questions help me teach it better, so don't be shy. Okay, again, plenty of room in the class. Come on in and join. All right, here we go. Would. Would and wouldn't. Okay, to start off with, would is the sort of subjunctive, the imaginary, the hypothetical modal verb. When we're imagining a situation or an action, when we think about something which is not real, not really real, not part of our physical known reality. For example, it would be nice to buy a new car, but we can't afford it. Well, all right. It would be nice is a very common phrase, by the way. I'd love to live by the sea. I can automatically assume, if I hear someone say this, that they do not live by the sea. This is not a real condition or situation. Okay, also, notice the contracted form. Native speakers will generally always use contractions when speaking. General rule of thumb, contractions are always used in speaking. Formal writing, you should always use full form. Okay, what's the problem here? With I'd or we'd or she'd or he'd or you'd, the contracted form, please note that the contracted form is identical to the contracted form of I had, which we use when we use the past perfect tense. How do you know the difference? From context, and that's it. I could say I'd been to Spain once before, for example. I went to Spain last year, but I'd been once before that. I had been once before that. It doesn't make sense. I would been more, okay. Would been doesn't make sense. So when you see the contracted form with a simple, the simple form, the base form, the infinitive form without to of the verb, you know it's would. When you see I'd or the contracted form with the past participle behind it, you know it's past perfect. You can't put just the past participle behind would. It won't ever work. It doesn't make sense. To do past with would, you need would have. We'll get to that in a minute. So that's how you tell. What is the form of the verb that follows the contraction? Okay. Notice in a conversation, shall I tell Chris what happened? No, I wouldn't say anything. Very common to actually say, I wouldn't say anything if I were you, to actually make a conditional sentence. It's very common to do that. Not necessary, because using would or wouldn't, the negative, implies that it's an imaginary situation, as in I wouldn't say anything if I were you. I'm not you, but so that's not real, but there it is. In the past, as I just mentioned, this is the form. As with all the modals that we've been studying the last couple weeks, when we want to use the past, we add have and then the past participle of our main verb. No different than should have done, could have done, might have done, may have done. All right. They all work the same way, same form, to use a modal to talk about the past. Same thing. Okay, examples, they helped us a lot. Notice past tense, helped. I don't know what we'd have done. We would have done without their help. I don't know what we'd have done without their help. Okay. I didn't tell Sam what happened. Here's the negative. Notice the negative, didn't tell, past simple, negative. He wouldn't have been pleased. Again, in the past. Again, I would call Lisa, but I don't have her number. That means right now. I would have called Lisa, but I didn't have her number. That automatically means in the past. Okay, would is definitely going to be used with if. Okay. Notice the construction. I would call Lisa if I had her number. Notice the if clause uses past tense. This is known as the second conditional or the unreal conditional. This is called a conditional sentence. And this is how it's formed. You have an if clause or a condition with past tense, which shows it's unreal, subjunctive, and then the result clause, you use would. Okay, this is the straightforward second conditional. The first conditional, which is the real condition, okay, the if clause will be in the present tense. For example, if it rains, I will stay home. So notice the difference. If it rains, present tense, I will stay home. I use will instead of would. All right. So will is obviously used for future tenses, future actions. Would can be used to talk about the future, but more in an unreal way. All right, but besides that, this is a conditional sentence, and this is how it's formed. I would have called Lisa if I'd had, if I if I'd had her number. Do you guys, David, Carolina, what is I'd here? Is it I would or I had?
I had had.
Excellent. You are correct. You are the winner. Gold star for you, Carolina. This is an example of the third conditional, talking about hypothetical situations in the past. Very good. You are correct. So you have the past form of the modal, would have called, and the if clause had, which is in fact past perfect. Not simple past, like the second conditional, but actually the past perfect form. If I had her number, very good. You are absolutely correct. Okay, and that is the third conditional. So what is used in the second and the third conditional? Second conditional to talk about the present or the future. Third conditional talks about the past. Okay. All right. Will and would. Okay. More about that. All right. I'll stay a little longer. I've got plenty of time. Okay. That's what you're predicting you're going to do. That's what you think you're really going to do. I'd stay a little longer, but I really have to go now. I can't actually stay longer. I would stay a little longer, but that's not real. I'm not going to stay a longer. I won't stay longer. Okay, because there's a condition. I'll call Lisa. I have her number. I would call Lisa, but I don't have her number, so I can't. It's unreal. So we use I will when it's real, and you're going to do it, and you use would when it's not real. So it's really not going to happen. Okay, sometimes. Now, all that said, sometimes will or negative wouldn't is the past of will and won't. Let me show you by examples. Notice that these okay, let's look at the examples and then talk about it. I'll call you on Sunday. All right, is what Tom actually said. Now, this is what's called reported speech. If I'm going to report to you later what Tom said earlier, Tom said he would call me on Sunday. He'd call me on Sunday. All right? So the future tense in the actual quote from somebody, when it's reported to someone else, becomes would. He said he'd call me on Sunday. All right. I promise I won't be late. Amy promised she wouldn't be late. This is what's called reported speech. When we're talking about it, we're reporting that to somebody else. Damn, the car won't start. Lisa was annoyed because her car wouldn't start. All right, we're reporting the action. Really in the past. So in this use, when you're kind of reporting something that happened, you can use would or wouldn't. Also, another use, somebody wouldn't do something. He or she refuses to do it. I tried to warn him, but he wouldn't listen to me. All right, again, you're talking about the past. The car wouldn't start. It refused to start. The car wouldn't start. Again, you're talking about the past. But again, you're still kind of reporting something that happened. That's the commonality there. Okay, another use of would. You can use would to talk about things that happened in the past regularly. Kind of similar to using used to. Similar, but not exactly the same. It's a little less straightforward, a little more whimsical, a little more subjunctive is what it is. So, for example, when we were children, we lived by the sea. In summer, if the weather was fine, we would all get up early and go for a swim. Okay, we did this regularly is the meaning. Just like used to, actually. Whenever Richard was angry, he would walk out of the room. Okay, fine. Very similar to used to. Whenever Richard was angry, he used to walk out of the room. You can use used to in any of these situations. We used to get up early and go for a swim. What's the difference? Used to is basically more direct, more informal, more common. Would is something that you would see, it's more formal. You would see this more in somebody's memoirs, in musical lyrics, poetry. It's much more formal, and it is used to form these sort of misty, cloudy, imaginary, fantasy, subjunctive world, whereas used to is direct and physical. So, okay, when somebody's giving their memoirs, they're trying to infuse, they're trying to give the emotion and the fantasy-like wonder of getting up early and going for a swim. Okay, it kind of makes it more imaginary. Whenever Richard was angry, he would walk out of the room. It implies to me that not really every time. Whereas when Richard was angry, when you use he would walk out of the room. Okay, it seems more imaginary to me if I hear this. It's more the idea that he would do angry things. He would act out. All right? Whenever Richard was angry, he used to walk out of the room, I think that's an actual physical action that he did every time. If you can try to see the slight difference there in intention of the speaker or author. Okay. All right, that was a lot of information, I know. All right, well, let's try using would in sentences. Okay. All right, I'm going to ask you to be a little creative in this first exercise. You're going to write a sentence about yourself. You're going to need to imagine things, which is what you do when you use would. Imagine things you would like or wouldn't like. For example, a place you'd like to live. I'd love to live by the sea. I would love to live by the sea. Okay. Carolina, imagine a job you wouldn't like to do.
I wouldn't like to meeting with my partners. I don't know. Yes.
Well, you can't say I wouldn't like to meeting because you can't use ing with to.
Okay. I wouldn't like to meet with my partners.
Okay, that's fine. You're thinking about a job as, and that's fine. You're thinking about a job as one particular task. I wouldn't like to clean my room, or I wouldn't like to do the dishes. Okay, we do use job that way, but when we make us, just so you know, when we say job in a more general way, we generally mean work, like a employment. So I wouldn't like to be a plumber. I wouldn't like to be a fireman, like that. We usually use job to mean a task. We usually say it much more specifically. I have 3 jobs to do in the kitchen today. I have to clean the floor. I have to do the dishes. I have to clean out my refrigerator. Okay? Just so you know, when you hear native speakers say it in a general way, they're talking about employment. All right. Let me quickly welcome Ken to the class. Hello, Ken.
Yes, hello.
Hello, hello. Okay. Get back to you in just a second. David, make a sentence with would or wouldn't, something you would love to do. Okay, well, that's very vague and open.
I would love to write music all my life.
Oh, okay. All right. I would love to write music all my life. A little strange for I would love to write music is fine.
But
All
all
my
my
life
life?
is a little strange because you've already lived part of your life. So it would be a little more normal. And I'm sure you weren't writing music when you were, you know, 1 years old. 1 year old. Sorry, not 1 years, 1 year old. So it sounds a little strange. I would say that sentence, I would love to write music for the rest of my life.
For the rest of my life. Yes, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Ken, what is something that would be nice to have?
It would be nice to have my lost family again.
Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. Sure, that works. It would be nice to have my lost family again. Oh my goodness, Ken.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, Carolina, number 5.
I'd like to go to Italy.
Place you'd like to go? I'd like to go to Italy. Okay. That sounds good. I'd like to go to Italy too. Great. Let's move on. Another exercise. You're going to use would and a following verb, and you're going to have to concern yourself with the correct form. Is it present tense? Is it past tense? For example, number 1, they helped us a lot. I don't know what we would have done without their help. Okay, verb to do is used here. It has to be past tense. Would have done. They helped us. Okay, past tense form. Would plus have plus past participle of the main verb. Or it may be present tense. You're going to need to figure it out. Okay. David, number 2.
Okay, you should go and see the film. You would enjoy it.
There you go. You would enjoy it. What's the difference, David, between saying you would enjoy it and saying you might enjoy it? Because you could
Uh,
also say you might enjoy it or you may enjoy it.
oh, I think that would is something not. You would enjoy it and you wouldn't enjoy it, I think.
Okay,
This is
so
a choice.
okay, all right. So it's more absolute.
Yes.
Yes, okay, that's it. Exactly. Might or may means there's a chance, a probability.
Okay.
Right. Would or wouldn't means that the speaker believes that it's more absolute.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Okay, very good. Ken, number 3.
Number 3. You should go and see the film. You.
Okay, how about the next number 3?
I don't see the number. It's a pity you couldn't come to the party last night. You would enjoy it.
Last night.
You would have enjoyed it.
There you go. Couldn't, past tense. All right.
Well, if maybe
Last night.
could have enjoyed also works.
You would have enjoyed it. Well,
Mhm.
you could have enjoyed it is a little strange because that means it is possible,
Mhm.
theoretically, grammatically speaking, but it's a little odd to say that because that means all you're saying, you use can and could modals to show that it's one possibility. We're not saying anything about the probability. We're not saying anything about what we're predicting. We're just saying this is one of many options that could have happened to you if you went to the party. You could have enjoyed it. You could have hated it. You could have jumped off the roof in agony. You could have taken a barbecue fork and speared it into the host's eyeball. You could have eaten too much and thrown up. You could have drank too much. Okay, a billion possibilities. So it's kind of a strange thing to say.
Okay.
You would probably say you would have enjoyed it because you're predicting, you're trying to show it was a great party. You would have enjoyed it. I predict that. I strongly think, um, even though this is unreal, I strongly think you would have enjoyed it. I think it's more normal, more common to do that. Okay, Carolina, number 4.
Shall, shall apply for the job or not? What could you do in my position?
Okay, I could jump off the roof. I could stab the host in the eyeball with a fork. I could. Okay. Um, I think, what would you do in my position? Asking
What?
for somebody's advice, like in the future, their advice. What would you do? Uh, okay, it's hypothetical. All right, it's an imaginary. It's subjunctive. You're not in my position. You're not me. So it's a little strange to say, what could you do? So again, it's a little odd because, again, you're asking for a million options. What would you do makes much more sense because we use would when we're talking about it's a not real situation. It's not real. You're not me. It's not real. You didn't go to the party.
What would you do?
Yep, that's it. What would you do? Okay, David, how about number 5?
I was in a hurry when I saw you. Otherwise, I would have.
David,
Hello? Hello? I'm
I hear
here.
you, David,
Yeah, you.
but I can hear you.
Do you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
network
I hear you.
has a problem now.
Okay. Uh,
Okay. Hello again.
Yes, welcome back.
I have back from the dead. I would have been here sooner, but I didn't have an internet connection for a couple of seconds there. All right. Sorry about that. I think the monsoon rains here in the Philippines where I live are raising Cain with the internet. Maybe. Okay, anyway, we were on number 5. David,
Okay. I was in a hurry when I saw you. Otherwise, I would have would have enjoyed maybe to talk, or I would have had to talk.
had to talk. Probably neither of those. You would say I would have enjoyed talking. We usually follow
Uh-huh.
enjoy with a gerund.
Mhm.
I mean, that's possible. I would have enjoyed talking. Uh, it's a little strange to say I would have had to talk. Well, no, not unless you had a gun, maybe. I think a better possible option might be stop.
Stop.
Otherwise, I would have stopped to talk. This is very normal colloquial expression, by the way. Oh, I would have stopped to talk. I would have. Okay. For this situation, you see somebody on the street. We use that expression. Oh, I need to stop to talk to somebody. Oh, okay. All right, Ken. Moving on, number 6.
We took a taxi home last night, but got stuck in the traffic. It would have been quicker to walk. No.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
B. Yes. It would have been quicker to walk. Okay.
Yeah.
Would have been the verb to be, and then the comparative quicker. So if you're following it with a adjective there, yeah, it's going to be the verb to be. Okay. Carolina, number 7.
Why don't you go and see Claire? She would be very pleased to see you.
There you go. Would be, and then the adjective again. Very pleased. She would be very pleased to see you. Okay. Again, very common kind of expression. David, number 8.
Why didn't you do the exam? I'm sure you would have passed it.
Very good. I'm sure you would have passed it. Excellent. All right, you guys are flying through this now. Ken, one more here.
In ideal world, everybody brought enough to eat. Would have it would have because it's present.
That's right. That's right. It's an imaginary ideal world. Definitely imaginary in the present. Would have enough to eat. Okay. All right. Which follows which? Different kind of exercise here. We're kind of mix and match exercise. Which sentence on the right follows the sentence on the left? For example, I'd like to go to Australia one day. It would be nice. Okay. Carolina, number 2.
I would like to live on a busy road. It couldn't have. No. Yes, it couldn't be very nice.
Wouldn't be very nice. Okay, you're talking about present imaginary situation. So it wouldn't be very nice. Okay. Yeah, that works. Very good. David, number 3.
Okay, I'm looking forward. Number 3. I'm
Yeah.
sorry the trip was cancelled. Um, the, okay, I'm sorry the trip was cancelled. It wouldn't have been very nice.
Well, if you're
No.
sorry the trip was canceled, you wouldn't be sorry. You'd be happy the trip was canceled if
Oh,
it
okay.
wouldn't be nice. Right? So you're sorry the trip was canceled. You're regretful.
It would have been fun.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
A little
I got
future
it.
in the past here. It would have been fun. Okay. All right. It was canceled in the past, so we have to use the past form. Would have been fun. Okay. Ken, number 4.
Okay, I'm looking forward to going out tonight. Eh, it will be fun.
It will be fun. Future tense. You're reasonably certain it's going to be fun because you're looking forward to it. So, yeah, some certainty there. Okay. It will be fun. Sure. Carolina, number 5.
I'm glad we didn't go out in the rain. It wouldn't be very nice.
Yeah,
It would
well,
it wouldn't have been very nice.
there you go. Didn't. Past tense. It wouldn't have been very nice. Very good. That's right. Okay, last one here. David, number 6.
I'm not looking forward to the trip. Oh, can you tell me what means looking forward?
Yes. Looking forward to, actually. It's a
Yes,
3-word phrasal verb.
phrasal
Yes, a phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs are made up of more than one word. There's not very many 3-word phrasal verbs, but this is one, and a common one. And it means that you're anticipating. Okay. Okay, you look forward to something. You're a little anxious, hopeful, and happy about it. You're anticipating it. Here, of course, you're not looking forward to the trip. It's negative.
Okay. It will be fun.
No, not looking
Not.
forward. I'm not anticipating. I don't want to go on the trip.
It won't be much fun.
There you go. The negative.
Okay.
Well, so using looking forward to shows that the person is positive. It's realistic. Okay, it will be fun. Not looking forward to, it won't be fun. So you're going to use the more direct and absolute will and won't. Okay. Very commonly, we collocate, put together promised and would or wouldn't. Quite common. So, okay, let's try forming these sentences. I wonder why Laura is late. She promised she wouldn't be late. For example, okay, and number 2, Ken.
I wonder why Stephen hasn't called me. He promised he would have called.
You can just he promised he would call.
Would call. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has not called me. Okay. He promised he would call. Yeah, you don't need to have he promised he would have called. Unless I wonder why Steve didn't call. He promised me he would have called by now. He's still waiting for the call. Now is the idea. Okay, Carolina, number 3.
Why did you tell Jane what I say? You promised you would
Promised you wouldn't.
tell. Yes. You promised uh, you wouldn't tell her.
Yeah, okay. You tell her. Yeah. Okay. He promised he would. It's very common in English, by the way, to just say, I wonder why Laura's late. She promised she wouldn't be. Very common to cut it off. I wonder why Steve hasn't called me. He promised he would. Why did you tell Jane what I said? You promised you wouldn't.
And no more.
We often are going to use what's called ellipsis. We don't need to say that information again. We already know that information. So it's very common to just leave it off in spoken conversational English. It's very normal to do that. Okay, David, number 4.
Okay. I'm surprised they didn't wait for us. They promised they would have wait. They
They promised they would, or they
only
would
would.
wait.
They
Yeah.
would wait.
Again, it's very common. It's very common to just say they promised they would. Frankly, it sounds a little whiny when you say the whole thing. I'm surprised they didn't wait for us. They promised they would wait for us. Why didn't they wait for us? It sounds a little bit complainy, whiny to actually say the full form. Instead of just transferring information, you sound like you're kind of whining about it, actually, in reality. Notice that they're all in the present tense. They're not in the past tense. Even though, okay, he has not called me yet. Why did you tell? Past tense. They didn't wait. When we use promised, actually, I don't think it's possible to say promised he wouldn't have done that. I don't think it's possible. It sounds very weird. So I think this is a little kind of an exception. Promised already has the past tense in it, right? He promised. I promise. Present tense. I promised is already in the past tense. So we're already kind of using promise to indicate the past, that this, you did this in the, he promised, you promised, they promised, that happened in the past. So the wouldn't be phrase doesn't need to be, and it sounds a little strange because really the main verb here is promised. Okay, so you can kind of think of that as a little kind of an exception. All right, how about wouldn't? And a suitable verb, okay, you have to think of the verb. For example, I tried to warn him, but he wouldn't listen to me. All right, very common phrasing here for English speakers. He just wouldn't listen to me. When we're explaining it to someone else, all right, I tried to warn him. I'm talking about a third person, a third party, but he wouldn't listen to me. Okay, if I'm talking to you, I say, why won't you listen to me right now? But this is kind of like reported speech that we were talking about earlier. Ken, number 2.
I asked Amanda what had happened, but she wouldn't have answered me.
She wouldn't answer me.
Yes, answered me, yes. Okay.
Okay. Okay, again, if it happens right now, Amanda, tell me what happened. Why won't you answer me? So the will becomes wouldn't in reported speech. When we're reporting the speech or what happened, will becomes like past tense. I mean, would becomes past tense of will. That's the idea here. Carolina, number 3.
Paul was very angry about what I said. and he wouldn't talk to me for 2 weeks.
Perfect. Exactly. Okay. So we're reporting something others said and did. So would is acting like the past tense of will here. Okay, David, number 4.
Uh-huh. Martina insisted on carrying all her luggage. He helped. She would she would have um, um,
Well, I think it's going to be negative, David. She probably wouldn't.
wouldn't she wouldn't have asked 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 me help her.
She wouldn't ask me to help her, possibly, or to keep it much simpler and more conversational, normal, common, native speaker English, she wouldn't let me help her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Common to use let here. Oh, let me help you with your bags. Let me make you a sandwich. Okay. We're talking about offers, helping people, making offers. All right. Oh, let me help you with that. Okay. This is very common to just keep it simple and use let. Okay. Talking about the past. All right. These sentences are things that often happen in the past, kind of like thinking about used to, using them in places of used to. Okay, complete the sentences using would and the verbs here. The idea is to use it like used to. Whenever Richard was angry, he would walk out of the room, if you remember. All right, Ken, number 2.
Okay, we used to live next to a railway line. Every time a train went past, the house shook.
Okay.
Just this one.
Yeah, you could do that. Actually, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time a train went past, the house shook. Well, that's very direct. And okay, and you are using words every time. You're using a you're using a time phrase to actually indicate that this happened over and over and over again. So actually, your answer is quite normal. It's not necessary to use used to or would because you're saying every time. So you're making that obvious that it happened over and over and over again. So actually, your answer is perfectly correct. All right, you've got enough information here, so you don't need it. However, it would also be okay to say every time a train went past, the house used to shake. Every time a train went past, the house would shake.
Shake, okay.
Every time a train went past, the house shook.
Would be
Okay. Any of those, perfectly okay.
would shake has less possibility. Sometimes shake, sometimes not shake.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's making it more hypothetical, imaginary, unrealistic. Yeah, but really, for all intents and purposes, really for the listener, it wouldn't make any difference. You get the gist. You get the general idea. Carolina, number 3.
Alan was very kind man. He could would always help you if you had a problem.
He would always help you if you have a problem. Now, here's a place, this kind of thing where you're talking about somebody's actions in the past. All right, this fits would better than it fits used to. used to would still fit here. And it still fits to say he always helped you if you had a problem. Again, because we have always to indicate over and over and over and over again. So all three are possible. It really doesn't make any difference, and you really shouldn't worry about which one you choose to use. Choose whichever one sounds good to you at the time. There's no grammar rule. All of them really convey the same information, but okay. Anyway, David, number 4.
Okay. Catherine was always very generous. She didn't have much, but she would share with what she had with everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, talking about people's behavior and their personality, very kind, very generous. I think it's more common, just colloquial common to say would always. It's very common to phrase it that way. This would sound better to me if it said, but she would always share what she had with everyone else. I think it's just common. There's nothing grammar about it. It's just common to talk about personalities. Oh, he would always, oh, I hated working with Bob. He would always complain every day. Talking about personality, I think that's just a common construction. Okay, Ken, last one here.
Okay, you could never rely on Joe. It didn't matter how many times you remembered him to do something. He always he wouldn't always forget.
Okay.
Forget.
How many times you reminded him? Hey, Joe,
Have
send that email. So you remind him to do. Did you remember to send the email? That's reminding somebody. So no matter how many times you reminded him, it didn't matter. He
would have
would. No, it's just simply he would always forget.
yes, forget. Yes, would always forget.
Yeah. Okay. To indicate that this was a repeated action. Okay. Now, okay, here's where I think would is useful. Talking about people's personality in the past, and we generally always say would always whatever. Okay. Well, we only have a couple minutes, so just quickly, another use of would is this, offering and inviting. It is also common enough to use would to offer or to invite. For example, would you like a cup of coffee? Yes, please. Would you like to eat dinner with us tonight? Okay, I'd love to. Okay. A polite way of saying that you want something. Okay, it's more polite to, instead of saying I want cookies, I would like a cookie, please. Very simple. I'd like some information about hotels, please. I'd like to try on this jacket, please. In a shop, talking to a stranger that you don't know, we commonly use I would like when we're requesting something. I would like someone to help me with my bags. Something like that. Okay, I would like to thank you for joining me. I hope you learned a little bit about using the modal would. I would love to stay longer, but I can't because I have another class. So thank you very much, everyone.